Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
I, male, 30, have had a passion for woodworking since I was a little kid. This is mostly because of my dad's family business as a furniture maker. I know the A to Z of everything from dovetails to veneers, and I knew I wanted to make this into my career. My brother Josh, 25, was also a skilled craftsman. Again, thanks to dad. But he didn't have any ambition or idea of what he wanted to do with this talent. I ended up going to trade school for carpentry and did an online course on business, bookkeeping, and social media marketing. Basically, ever since I became an adult, I had big plans for what I wanted Dad's business to look like. However, Dad was a little hesitant about this at first, as he's someone who believes that simply having good service in a brick and mortar store is enough to survive. That may have been the case 50 years ago, but not anymore. I worked as an apprentice under Dad, trying to become better at my trade. This time was valuable for me since I got to know the ins and outs of the local network Dad had. And the future of our business looked uncertain. A lot of people were facing stiff competition from online shops, IKEAs and Walmarts, and the only reason we were turning a profit was because of the goodwill we had in the community. That wasn't going to last forever. I ended up researching for ages to try and figure out what we could do, and the conclusion was simple. We needed to expand. I literally spent 2 years speaking to consultants and investors and building up a business plan. During all this time, Josh was just kind of chilling at the store, working as a manager and not doing much. He was more interested in bar hopping and spending time hanging out with his friends over doing anything large scale. I mean, I don't want to knock the guy since he did his job relatively well, but it's just that he never went beyond that. It's like he was working for some faceless company and collecting a paycheck instead of having the passion you need to run a business. So he wasn't involved in this idea of expanding the business. Dad, on the other hand, was attacking every single move that I made and only begrudgingly allowed me to make any changes to the way we did business. For example, I thought of opening up an Instagram page for our business so that customers could reach out to us for orders there, and also as a way to showcase our designs. And my dad called it needless pandering to millennials. Despite giving me the right to make decisions in his head, it was still his business. However, the profits did grow, dollar by dollar, to the point where we were doing quite well for ourselves. It got to the point where I ended up reaching out to a few angel investors to make our store into a proper statewide franchise. We're from Florida. When I told Dad about this, he really flipped out and thought it was a way of giving over control to a bunch of men in suits. I tried my best to explain to him that at the end of the day, it would still be our business, but he wasn't hearing it. I won't lie, it created a huge rift in the family, and I remember having a shouting match with our dad at the workshop where I said, "If you didn't want me to run this business, why did you even hand it over to me?" And he swore that he never should have. This was the final nail in the coffin, and I told him that he wasn't ready to survive or do what was best for us anymore. I set up a meeting with a few potential investors, keeping Dad out of the loop at this point, and I only confided in Josh because, well, he was younger, and I needed someone else from the family to support me. However, when I got to the meeting, I was surprised to see Dad and Josh there, having spent an entire hour bad-mouthing me to the potential investors and saying that I no longer had any claim over the business. It was clear that Josh had ended up telling Dad about my plan, and he wasn't having any of it. Being a small family business, there was no legal contract saying I was in charge, and Dad pulled his seniority to take things over from me. I know that a lot of you think I was being too cocky by leaving Dad out of this deal, but he didn't realize something. If I didn't modernize, our legacy would vanish. That was the only reason I had started talking, researching, and dedicating 2 years of my life to the business. Ugh, but it all got shot to shit after that meeting. We all drove back together in Dad's truck, not a word said to each other. And then, when we got home, Josh said, OP, Dad wants me to let you know that I'll be running things from now on. I don't want to say that you can't be a part of the business anymore, but I think it's probably best if you leave this to us. I was too exhausted to fight a losing battle anymore. So I agreed to it. I spent a couple of months figuring out my next move, and in that time, Josh and Dad deconstructed every improvement that I had made to the business. I was staying at home with only my mom as a sympathetic ear and watching 2 years of improvement get flushed down the drain. After everything, I decided on a fresh start. In Florida, Dad had a lot of contacts and goodwill, and he and Josh had made me out to be a terrible villain. So it was clear that I couldn't continue with my passion for woodworking there. So I ended up moving to Colorado and starting my studio for furniture design. To my surprise, my mom contributed a lot of her savings to help me start in the beginning. Not to my surprise, though, was Dad and Josh's teasing and bullying when I told them my plan. Even though the business was already making less money in the few months I wasn't in charge, it was really tense in our home while this was going on. And I was just hoping that I could show them all how it's done. I won't lie. I kind of made it my life mission to become 100 times better than Dad's business. When I was about to board my flight, the whole family came to see me off despite the problems that were there. On an impulse, as I was hugging Mom and saying goodbye to Dad, I said, "Listen up. I promise you that I'll become the best woodworking business you've ever seen." I could tell that Mom felt proud, and Dad? Well, he laughed it off. It stung, I'll be honest. After I moved to Colorado, a lot of things took a turn for the better. The distance between me and my family did kind of mend our relationship. And while Dad still doesn't take any of my business advice, we are on good terms about everything else. I also managed to get my business rolling as soon as I hit the ground. About a month ago, I also got a contract that allowed my business to sell furniture through various event pop-ups, and my website has been steadily growing in sales ever since I set it up. A few people have also signed on for funding so I can make my brand into a national thing soon, so it's all very exciting. While neither Dad nor I talked shop with each other, I could tell that they had been struggling ever since I left, but they were too proud to admit it. Mom was like a double agent for me, IMAO, telling me about the worries and concerns she had about going under. I always did my part to support them financially, though, but never said anything about coming back to the business. Recently, my parents gave me a call and asked if they could visit for a while. They wanted to see how I was doing and catch up, and I was happy to oblige. I won't lie, I did miss living in Florida sometimes. I asked if Josh was coming, and Mom abruptly said that he was too busy, and I knew something was up. Nevertheless, I waited until we met, and then we could discuss everything that had been going on. I picked up my parents from the airport and had this conversation on the car ride back home. "So, what's Josh doing that makes him so busy?" Dad replied gruffly with an, "I don't want to hear about Josh right now. Josh, Josh, Josh. All that kid ever cares about is himself." Sensing I touched a nerve, I went quiet until Mom spoke up. "Well, it's just that Josh has decided to leave the business. So Dad's running it again, and he's pursuing a different career in filmmaking." Nobody had told me about this. Whether out of pride or because of the distance, I was getting this news a month late. Mom had also been asked to not reveal this to me, but now it was out in the open. I don't hate Josh for this. I'm glad he found his passion, but it does leave Dad in the lurch. When we got back home, Dad also opened up to me about how things were going, and it turns out that he was being pressured into selling off his shop. A lot of new supermarkets were opening up and expanding aggressively, and he just didn't have it in him to keep the shop going. I wanted to comfort him, but I also let him know that it was his fault, and if he had followed my advice, we could have worked on this together. He took this a little rough and spent the rest of the trip to Colorado sulking. While Mom appreciated the fact that I tried to help, she felt like I rubbed my success in Dad's face. AITA for telling him that the business could have survived with me? Update 1. It's been a month since the visit, and it's tough to say, but Dad ended up selling off our family business. I was shaken about it, but apparently it was a long time coming. I asked my parents if they would be comfortable moving to Colorado, and they agreed. Josh is doing surprisingly well and also seems happier now, and I took a lot of your advice and spoke to Dad in a calmer, more comforting manner. Update 2. My parents moved up here with me, and I had an amazing idea. My business is just about to go national, and I asked Dad if he would like to come on board as a consultant. As much as he hates the idea of social media and digital marketing and whatnot, he still loves the trade. He agreed, and we've brainstormed some innovative furniture so far. Update 3. Guys, things have been going well. We've rebranded using our old family business name, and we've just launched nationwide. Sales are going well, and Dad is happy about my leadership. He even told me he was proud of me, and that was a moment I'll never forget. NTA, I feel like you were treated very unfairly when you were running the family business. I would have reacted in the same manner as you did, and you still comforted your dad after all of that. It's clear that the work you put in during your time there was put to waste, but you still love your family. YTA, but an extremely minor one. I always believe in helping the family out in times of need, and I feel like you bringing in a past fight, since you do say your relationship improved, when the wound of losing his business was still fresh, would hurt your dad. But you are doing an amazing job with the way you're involving him now. Next story. My husband and I invited his brother to come with us to the beach yesterday. However, my husband had a last-minute call from work and had to go, but wanted us to still go to the beach. He said he may join us there. At the beach, apparently, a few of my mother-in-law's friends saw the two of us and maybe got the wrong idea. I don't know. They never came forward, only she came to our house today accusing me of humiliating her by giving the appearance of cheating on my husband with his brother. Her argument was that my bathing suit was too revealing and wasn't covering enough, and we were too cozy, and the two of us should never have gone to the beach alone to be almost naked together. And she is embarrassed in front of her friends, who all are convinced that we're cheating. I dismissed her concerns, telling her that I don't particularly care what her friends think, and I don't think I did anything wrong, and my husband also backed me up. She insisted that she's not accusing me of anything other than being careless about appearances, and I should have been more cognizant of what it would look like if someone saw us, and what that would mean for her stance in the community and with her friends. Apparently, one of her friends took a couple of pictures of us, which are shared in their group chats, and everyone is talking about how her son's wife is having an affair with her other son, and she's embarrassed. Although once she showed me the chats, it was like maybe 10 messages by 3 to 4 people about it, and a few other messages who said it doesn't seem like anything is going on. In the end, I told her the picture-taking friends are inappropriate ones and that she needs better friends. Those people are the a-holes. She told me I should have some empathy for an old woman who is humiliated in front of her friends and accept that I could have behaved slightly differently and avoided this situation in the first place. AITA for putting her in this position by going to the beach with my brother-in-law? NTA sounds like sad people with nothing better to do than gossip about others. Out of curiosity, has she complained to her son or just you? As long as your partner is happy, the others should mind their own business. Plus, if you were having an affair, would you really go to the beach where you were likely to be seen by the local gossips? That'd be a special kind of stupid. In the end, I told her the picture-taking friends are the inappropriate ones, and she needs better friends. Those people are the a-holes. Spot on. Instead of coming to berate you, her family, she should have been defending you to her small-minded friends. NTA. Next story. This situation happened last Friday, but I'm still so upset about it. Also, I'm on my phone, so the formatting may be a bit weird. I, 28, male, and my wife, 27, female, have been married for 3 years now. She has always been a bit messy, but I'm not the cleanest person in the world, so it hasn't bothered me at all. We had recently welcomed our son 5 months ago, and he is pretty easy to handle. He does all the normal baby stuff, but he's easier to calm down, so that's a plus. However, my wife has been suffering from PPD and has become very messy. When I was on paternity leave, I could help her more since she didn't want to go to therapy, and the housework and baby work has led to me shouldering a bit more responsibility. But I love my wife and kids, so I don't mind. The issue is that since I was on leave, I missed my turn to host our monthly get together. My department does this thing where every month one of us hosts the rest as a bonding experience. It is done at our respective houses where the host entertains the people, introduces their family, and whatnot. I was supposed to host it, and I was thinking that I would reserve a spot at a restaurant instead. I told my wife my plan, and she insisted that I host it here. She has been to these get-togethers and loved them. I asked her if she would be okay, and she said she could handle it. After I placed the pre-orders for food and other necessities, I sat my wife down and asked her if she could manage to keep the house clean for that day. If not, I would hire housekeeping to do it. She said that I shouldn't waste unnecessary money and that she would keep it clean. I told her that I would leave early that day to get everything ready. Come to the day of the event, and I leave work early, and my house is a mess. Food stains on the wall, baby food in the floor, and my son is crying because of a dirty diaper. I was so angry. I changed his diaper and found my wife upstairs lying in her bed. I asked what was going on, and she said that she couldn't get out of bed. The mess was too big to clean, so I tried to get an RSVP at a restaurant, but none of them had space for such a big gathering. I had to end up canceling the event. My coworkers were really understanding, but it was still humiliating. I told her how upset I was because I asked her to do something that she agreed on, but she blamed the baby and started to cry. I didn't bother comforting her and have been sleeping on the couch since then. I might be wrong because I'm angry at a woman that had PPD, but she told me she was able to handle it. I feel stupid for believing that. AITA? Edit 1. Multiple people have been asking as to why she isn't in therapy. It's because she doesn't want to go. She's in denial about her condition and doesn't think anything is wrong with her. I've brought up therapy and different types of treatment and have even asked her best friend to talk to her for me. Whenever I ask, she insists that she's fine. She shot down the first two options, and whoever I bring it up to, it ends in a fight. When her best friend tried to help her, she messed up and said that I sent her. My wife exploded and cussed me out for trying to trick her. I'm getting tired. Any advice is welcomed. Edit 2. My wife doesn't do anything because I've been doing all the housework since she gave birth. I cook, clean, sweep, do the dishes and laundry, mop, etc. I also take care of the kid when I come back from work. I'm also the sole breadwinner. I do everything because I love my wife and I want her to take a break. In addition, I was the one who noticed her symptoms and came to the conclusion that she had PPD. My friend, who's a therapist, confirmed it. My wife doesn't believe she has it because she hasn't gone to a therapist and thinks my friend is a bit nuts for diagnosing her without seeing her. NaH, sort of. Listen, your wife needs help and understanding. When you asked her, she thought she could handle it. The problem is that one moment you can, the next you can't. Procrastinating is impossible. So give her a break and give yourself a break too. Your coworkers understand it's not a humiliation. Shit happens. Suggestion, get that housekeeper thing going. Even once a week or every other week would take pressure off both of you. You're mad about the wrong things here. You should be upset that she was having such a bad day, she couldn't get out of bed to take care of the baby, and didn't call you to ask for help and let you know sooner. She just couldn't do it. It's time to make her get help for her and your baby's health and well-being, not time to harbor anger over canceling an event. That's what makes YTA. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.